Reeves, you finally lost your mind? Buying a shovel in this weather like you're digging your own grave.
The general store went silent. Harland Bick's voice carried all the weight of a town that had already written Robert off. Robert ignored it. He walked inside, placed the shovel and lamp oil on the counter.
That'll be $1.40, Robert.
What's the matter, Reeves? Afraid to tell us what you are digging? Buried too many secrets already?
Laughter rippled through the store. Martha Sneed's thin smile said she'd already twist this into next week's gossip.
Daddy, why are they laughing?
Robert didn't answer. He counted coins onto the counter, pocketed the nails, and took Ellie's hand. They stepped outside into the snow, the store's laughter still sharp behind them. Ellie clutched his coat, her small face pale with unanswered questions. The shovel was just the beginning. The path home snaked through bare trees to a frozen cabin, its chimney cold as the grave. Inside, the stove was an iron corpse. No wood, no coal, just frost creeping up the walls.
Ellie, we're going to do something the town won't understand. We're sleeping under the chicken coop.
Under the hens? But Daddy, will they peck us in the dark?
The hens make heat. Their bodies the earth. It'll be our blanket. We won't freeze like the cabin.
He scratched a rectangle in the frozen dirt next to the coop, a grave-sized bed for the living.
They'll call me mad, but mad can't be worse than dead.
Daddy, if you dig, I'll help carry the dirt, even if it's heavy.
He didn't let himself hesitate. The shovel bit into frozen earth with a sound like cracking bone. The first clods fell. A long hole begun, and with it a gamble the whole town would scorn. 3 days passed. The hole swallowed Robert up to his waist, then his chest. He didn't stop.
Reeves, you got tired of living like a man, decided to burrow like a mole.
It's not just mad, Harland. It's filthy. He'll bring disease on the whole town, sleeping with the animals.
Daddy, why do they hate us? We didn't do anything.
They're scared of what they don't understand. One day they'll see. Keep handing me that bucket, sweetheart.
His hands tore open, calloused, bled into the shovel handle. He didn't feel it anymore.
Still at it, gravedigger. You are so far down you'll need a ladder to reach hell.
Let them laugh. Laughter doesn't freeze a man to death. The cold does.
Will it really be warm, Daddy? Under there with the hens?
You'll feel it yourself tonight. The earth's already warmer than that dead stove.
By noon the next day, the walls were shored with old barnwood, the floor packed deep with straw.
Ellie, hand me the nails. The hatch needs to hold steady.
I tell you, that man will bring pestilence. Sleeping under chickens, it's against nature.
Someone should speak to the preacher. That child ought to be taken from him.
Robert entered for a sack of flour just in time to hear the last of it. He paid without a word. He climbed down into the dugout and hung the small oil lamp. The walls were solid now. The straw smelled dry.
Will we really be warm, Daddy? It looks so dark down there.
We'll be warm. You'll see. The hens and the earth are on our side.
He helped her down through the coop floor, and together they stepped into the earthen room.
I am not scared. If you say it's warm, then I believe you.
That first night, the dugout closed around them like a wooden fist. The lamp threw long shadows on the dirt walls.
It feels like we're buried. I don't like the dark.
This dark is safe. The cold can't find us down here. Feel the air. It's not biting your skin.
He turned the lamp down low, and Rusty settled at their feet, a warm weight in the straw.
I can hear them scratching. The hens. Are they sleeping too?
They're roosting. Their bodies are giving off heat right now. That heat is coming down to us.
The hours passed like a held breath. Outside, the frost crept up cabin walls. Down here, the dirt ceiling stayed cool, not frozen.
Daddy, I am not shivering. At home, I always shivered.
That's because we're not losing heat. The earth and the hens gave us what the cabin couldn't.
When Robert climbed up through the hatch into the coop, the hens clucked as if nothing had changed. Outside, a bitter wind still blew. A week passed. Each morning, Robert pressed his palm to the earthen ceiling. It was never cold, never frozen.
The heat seeps through like a heartbeat. No draft, no frost. The old ways weren't wrong after all.
He opened the hatch into the coop. The hens scattered, leaving eggs in the straw, more than he'd ever seen in winter.
5 eggs. Daddy, in the cabin, we'd be lucky to find one frozen in the nest.
Warm hens lay. Cold hens die. We keep them warm. They keep us fed.
Below, the dugout had become a small world. Ellie read her only picture book by lantern, Rusty's head on her knee.
Look, Rusty. The brave girl finds the hidden door under the chickens. She's just like us.
But above ground, the cabin windows were sheets of ice. The world outside still believed they were insane.
Let Harland call me a mole. A mole with a full belly and a warm daughter.
That night, they sank into straw again, the henhouse ceiling alive with soft clucks above them, a lullaby of body heat. By mid-morning, Harland Bick arrived at the Reeves place with 2 men. The cabin stood frozen, chimney smokeless.
No smoke for nearly a week. I told you, the man's living in the ground like an animal. Listen, hear that.
A child's laugh, and a man's low voice drifted from the coop, muffled but unmistakable. The hatch creaked open. Robert climbed out, dust on his coat, lamplight at his back, eyes hard and calm.
So it's true. You are sleeping under chickens. I thought maybe you just died and saved us the trouble.
We're alive, Bick. Warmer than your house, I'd wager. The hens keep us better than any stove.
Harland pushed past him and peered down the hatch. The warm amber glow from below caught his face, and for a breath, he said nothing.
Still a madhouse. Smells like dirt and feathers. You'll bring lice onto the whole town.
By afternoon, Martha Sneed was already outside the church, her voice sharp as a crow's.
Keep your children away from the Reeves place. That man is sleeping with animals. Filth takes root where reason dies.
Winter squeezed tighter. In the dugout, Robert looked at a pile of eggs and thought of the widow Creeley.
Ellie, we're taking eggs to Mrs. Creeley. She hasn't got a stove or a husband. Just cold walls.
But what if she tells Harland? What if she's mean like the others?
She won't be. And even if she is, she's still hungry. Bundle up.
He clasped the basket and walked to her small cottage, smoke thin as thread from her chimney.
Robert Reeves. I heard they said you were living with the animals.
I am. And the animals are keeping these eggs fresh. Take them.
She took the basket, her old hands shaking. Before nightfall, the rumor had run. Reeves had fresh eggs to give.
I heard Creeley ate fresh eggs. Must have been some mistake. No hen lays in this cold.
Daddy, if we have enough, why can't we help the Baker children? I saw them in town. They were freezing too.
That night, the cold came down like a hammer. Robert woke and pressed his palm to the dirt ceiling. It radiated heat.
The birds are alive. Their bodies are fighting the frost right now, and we're sleeping in the middle of that fight.
Outside, trees split with cracks like gunfire. But down in the earth, Ellie and Rusty slept without shivering. Dawn came blue and still. Robert unlatched the hatch into the coop and held his breath.
All alive. Every single one. Ellie, come see. The hens beat the freeze.
But the town beyond was a graveyard. Robert walked the main road, and the silence was the kind that came after murder. First, the widow Such's coop. Birds frozen in the nest, feathers stiff as wire. Then Harland Bick's yard. The man himself was on his knees, hands buried in dead feathers, his face a ruin.
Gone, all gone. 30 birds, stone cold. What am I gonna feed my boy?
Robert stood at the edge of the yard, the only man on the mountain who would eat eggs that morning. The wind howled, but it no longer hunted him. Harland Bick came to the Reeves place not long after, his hat in his fist, his boots heavy with shame.
How did you do it, Reeves? How are your birds still clucking when mine are frozen stiff?
Robert didn't answer with words. He led him to the coop and pulled open the hatch, warm amber light spilling up into the cold. Harland climbed down into the earthen room and stopped breathing hard. The warmth was a wall he couldn't push through.
This dirt's warm. I felt it through my soles. It's like summer earth down here.
No trick. The hens keep my child alive. Your boy's sick, isn't he?
He's been coughing for days. I ain't got a single egg to feed him. No meat. I've been an ass, Reeves. I know it.
$1. Same as the store. Take them.
I'll pay you back. I swear.
The exchange didn't mend years of scorn, but when Harland walked away with the basket, he didn't look back with contempt. He looked like a man who'd just learned that winter was no respecter of pride. By noon, the news had run through the town like fire. A line stretched from Robert's coop, people clutching baskets, children shivering in their mother's arms.
6 families at the door. I've got 12 eggs. That won't feed a single soul for long.
Daddy, the little boy's crying. His hands are blue.
He gave away 8 eggs that afternoon, but the line only grew longer. The next morning, 3 more families knocked before dawn.
If I give all the eggs, we starve next week. If I don't, I am the miser who let children freeze. The eggs aren't the answer. The dirt is. They need a dugout, not a handout.
He climbed out and stood before the crowd, his voice carrying harder than he meant.
I can't feed you all with birds, but I can show you how to keep your own alive through the freeze.
A murmur went through the crowd. Some faces darkened. This was the same man they'd called filthy. Others leaned forward, hungry for anything that worked. The first shovel of a new hole would cost nothing but sweat. The real price was swallowing their pride. Early next morning, the Reeves coop drew a knot of men, their breath steaming in the cold.
You dig beside the birds, cut a hatch through the floor. The earth holds the warmth.
It's still madness. You can't fool the frost with a dirt floor.
Then step down. Put your hand on the earthen wall and tell me it's cold.
3 men climbed down into the warm amber glow. When they touched the dirt, their faces slackened.
The birds are your furnace. The earth is your blanket.
Martha stayed above, her lips a tight seam, but she did not leave.
See? The hens are our ceiling. It's warm and dark, but it's safe.
By noon, 2 families had marked their ground. Others walked off, cursing unholy shelter. Robert watched them go, the town now split by a line drawn in dirt. Robert spent his days now with a shovel on other men's land. The ones who swallowed their pride dug beside him. Martha Sneed passed by Mrs. Creeley's cottage and saw the old woman with a basket of eggs, fresh ones. She turned her face away, against the cold. Robert knew he'd have to give meat as well as eggs. He took an old hen whose laying had slowed.
This bird kept us alive. Now she'll keep others.
She was a good hen.
That evening, he carried the dressed meat to the baker's shack, where the children's cheeks had gone hollow.
Tonight, you'll eat warm food. Tomorrow, we'll start your hole.
They said it was madness. But the madman's hens are alive. Ours are frozen. How can dirt work better than wood?
At church, she sat in the back pew, her usual sharpness dulled. No one called Reeves a fool aloud anymore. The line in the dirt was still there, but it was no longer a line between sense and madness. It was the mark between those who would survive and those who already hadn't. When the first thaw came, Robert's hens didn't stop. They'd been warm all winter, and their bodies answered with eggs like it was July.
Daddy, there are 3 chicks pecking out of the shells. They're so tiny and golden.
That same heat that kept us alive is hatching new birds now. The winter didn't beat us. It gave us more life.
Harland Bick came again, but not begging. This time he came to buy the future.
Reeves, I've got $10 laid by. I'll pay that for 4 chicks and the know-how to keep them.
He's offering a fortune. but taking it feels like closing a wound I didn't know was still open. $6. That's the fair price. And you'll dig your own hole before you take them.
$6, and I'll dig it deeper than you dug yours. I won't forget this.
Ellie stood beside her father, her small chest swelling with something she couldn't name. Pride, or the strange feeling of being needed instead of despised. The first chick crates left the Reeves place at dawn the next week, each one carrying the heat of a henhouse down into another family's dirt. One afternoon, an old peddler came up the road, his pack worn thin, his walking stick planted in the softening mud.
That hatch under the chickens, did I see a ladder leading down? A man's bed beneath the birds.
It's a sleeping room. The birds keep it warm. We survived the winter down there.
In the old country, every peasant knew that. The animals went below the house. Their heat rose through the floor. When we came here, we forgot.
Robert's mind flooded with a memory. His grandmother, in a barn much like this, holding an egg to the light. "The cow is your cellar," she'd said. "The hens are your ceiling." He'd been 6. He thought it a fairy story.
She knew. The old woman across the sea who I never met, she knew this before I was born.
You didn't invent this. You remembered. That's different. A man who remembers is never a fool.
They called me a fool all winter. The fool is still standing.
The peddler stayed an hour, sharing bread and stories of the old world. Before sunset, he told 2 men at the general store what he'd seen. By evening, the wind had changed. Reeves wasn't the madman sleeping with the hens. He was the man who remembered what the old world knew before stone chimneys and coal. The first community barn raising in years had a new rule. Every beam must straddle a dugout.
Reeves, you say the hatch needs to open north to south. I don't want my cows kicking the chickens.
North to south, and line the walls with straw. The heat will find its way up.
Harland hammered the frame true, no sneer on his face. Beside him, 3 other men took instruction without complaint.
My daddy dug the first hole. Now we'll all be warm next winter. Do you want to see the hatch?
She led a small troop of children down through the warming shed, their laughter rising through the slats.
6 months ago, they'd have called the sheriff. Now they're asking which side faces the wind.
Martha Sneed carried a pot of stew toward the tables, her path cutting close to Robert's work. She didn't speak, but she set the pot down near his tools.
The dirt floor's already taking the chill off. Reeves, my boy might finally sleep through a frost without coughing.
By dusk, the frame of the barn stood against the sky, and beneath it, the dugout was lit with the same amber glow that had saved Robert's daughter. A week after the barn raising, the town gathered on the church lawn.
Reeves, I need to say what everyone already knows. I was wrong. I called you a fool. I told the town you'd bring disease, but your dirt room saved my boy.
You didn't know, Harland. None of you did. Now you do. That's enough.
They shook hands, and the sound was a quiet crack in the long frozen wall between them.
The child shouldn't have borne it.
I am okay now. The hens kept me warm.
Ellie clutched Robert's hand, her grip a silent answer to every jeer she'd heard. No one cheered. No one needed to. The church bell tolled twice, and it sounded less like a judgment and more like a joining. The rift sealed that afternoon, not with a speech, but with the sound of a feud laid down like a worn-out shovel. Through the summer, the sound of hammer and saw replaced the scrape of shovel. Robert was rebuilding the cabin above ground.
Daddy, the new roof won't leak. We can have a real fire in the stove this year.
We'll keep the dugout, though. It's our root cellar now. And if another freeze comes, it'll be there.
The new chicks are already scratching. I'll name this one Clover. She's brave like the hen that saved us.
She's not scared of winter anymore. Neither am I.
The farm that had been a frozen grave was now a small enterprise. Eggs and chicks paid for lumber, nails, a second cow. By the time the first snow dusted the ridge, the cabin had a new chimney and a full wood pile.
This year, we'll sleep in the cabin. But if the cold outlasts the wood, we know where to go.
I'll never forget the sound of the hens above us. It was like a song that kept us alive.
The dugout hatch stayed open all autumn, a stairwell down to the memory of every frozen night they'd survived. When a late frost blackened the autumn hay, Robert didn't gamble. He lit the lantern and walked to the coop.
Ellie, one more night under the hens, just to be sure.
She didn't argue. She pulled her blanket tighter and followed him down the hatch. The familiar amber glow closed around them. The hens shuffled above, a quiet, living canopy.
It's like we never left, Daddy. The smell of straw and feathers, it's home.
Every winter needs a true north. This dugout is ours.
They sat in the lantern glow, and the cold outside was just a rumor.
I'll always remember the sound of the hens above us. It's the sound of being safe.
Then we'll keep it ready. Always. A place that remembers how to keep us alive.
And that night, the dugout hatch glowed again. Not from desperation, but from the promise of an old wisdom that would never be forgotten. By the next spring, not a coop in the valley stood without a hatch. The old wisdom had rooted deeper than any frost line. Robert watched from the ridge, the town now sculpted by the very hands it once mocked.
They called it madness. But madness kept my child breathing. Maybe the world needs more of that.
One evening, Preacher Ford stopped him outside the church, his old eyes gentle.
You reminded us, Robert, faith isn't only in the sky. Sometimes it's in the dirt beneath our feet.
Dirt and feathers and breath. The rest was just pride.
They stood without words. Two men who understood survival is a hatch that opens downward. When the next winter came, not a single child went cold, and the town listened to what the ground remembered. The storm still howled, but the people no longer fought the cold alone. Robert's dugout remained, a root cellar and a reminder that sometimes the way up is to look down. Night fell softly over the Reeves place. Robert took the lantern and walked to the coop one last time. He lifted the hatch. The amber light below poured upward, a warm breath against the frost.
Everything we needed was here. Dirt, hens, and each other.
From the cabin, Ellie's laugh cut the silence, a sound that hadn't lived there the winter before. Rusty barked once, a short, happy call, and the night settled around them. Robert let out a breath. He closed the hatch, the soft thud sealing the memory of every frozen night they'd survived. He turned down the lantern, its glow dimming like the end of a long season. Then he walked back toward the lighted cabin, where his daughter's voice was all the warmth he needed. The coop stood in the moonlight, its hatch ajar with the promise of heat and home. The old wisdom slept, waiting beneath the dirt, ready when needed. Always, morning broke over the ridge, gold and gentle. The coop stood, the hatch closed but never locked. Inside the dugout, the earth still held the night's warmth, a promise stored beneath the straw.
We won't need it today, but it's here. That's all that matters.
Ellie was in the cabin, wedging a piece of firewood into the stove. The new chimney drew straight and strong.
Daddy, the stove is warm already. I almost don't miss the hens.
The hens gave us this stove. Every board in this house was traded for eggs.
Rusty wagged his tail by the door, his coat thick for the coming winter. Outside, the coop's hatch was a quiet monument, no longer a last resort, but a foundation. The valley had learned, and every spring that followed, chicks hatched in the warmth of that remembered dirt. In the end, the cold came back every year, but it never again found a family without a place to lay their heads in the heat of the earth.